For thousands of years, planet Earth kept one of its greatest wonders as a big secret, secluded in a distant land, far out of reach from the rest of the world, and very few humans were aware of its existence. One thing led to another, and today we live in a world where no one can imagine life without chocolate. But chocolate as we know it has not always been consumed in the form that you may think. To make it more attractive to the palate, certain elements are combined to create the edible beauty that we all know and love. The origin of chocolate goes back to the geographic regions of South and Central America. Before the 1500s, as early as 900 AD, the Mayans and Aztec cultures used the beans of the cocoa tree to make an energy drink called chocotl. The word chocotl means bitter water, and the Mayans held it in such high regard that they considered the cocoa bean to be a food of the gods. The beans were fermented, dried, roasted, and then mixed with water, cornmeal, and chili peppers to brew a frothy concoction. Cocoa was so valuable that when the Aztecs conquered the Mayans, they were taxed in the form of cocoa beans. The Aztec king Montezuma was known to use chocotl as an aphrodisiac. In the early 1500s, when the Spanish landed in the Americas, they were introduced to cocoa. Amongst other foods, cocoa was brought back to Spain. For several decades, Spain kept cocoa a secret from the rest of Europe. The South American recipe for what we now call hot chocolate was introduced to Spanish royalty in 1528. Eventually, word got out to other parts of Europe, and hot chocolate quickly gained popularity among the European elite. In 1657, the British opened the first chocolate houses, which were much like today's coffee houses, but could only be afforded by the wealthy in Europe. Over time, the European version of hot chocolate changed, but still, one could only brew and drink it. In the mid-1700s, the French found a way to grind the cocoa beans into a paste using the power of steam. In 1829, the Dutch created the cocoa press, which separated the oil from the bean, which converted the bean into a powder which is what we now know as cocoa. And the oil is called cocoa butter. In 1847, a man by the name of Joseph Fry of England changed history when he introduced the chocolate bar, an edible form of cocoa. Soon after, the Nestle company in Switzerland bumped it up a notch and introduced the first milk chocolate candy bar by combining cocoa, sugar, and somehow adding milk, which was a key ingredient. In the 1890s, an American candy maker by the name of Milton Hershey visited Switzerland with hopes of learning how to make milk chocolate. But as milk chocolate was a well-kept trade secret, he went home empty-handed. If he wanted to make milk chocolate, he would need to figure it out on his own. Finally, in the year 1900, after years of experimenting, Hershey introduced a delicious chocolate bar that was made from curdled milk and could survive railroad transport across the continent of North America without melting. Today you can still tell the clear difference between a Nestle bar and a Hershey bar. The Nestle bar has a creamy taste, and the Hershey bar has a slightly sour taste. The basic ingredients of milk chocolate are cocoa, milk, and sugar. Originally from South and Central America, most cocoa consumed in the world today is grown in Africa. Most milk for food production is produced by cows, which can be found all over the world, but dairy cows did not exist in North America until the early 1600s when they were brought over from Europe. Sugar cane is believed to have originated in Polynesia, and then spread to India and beyond. The Persian Emperor Darius, who lived in India in 510 BC, is noted for calling it the reed which gives honey without bees. In 1493, Columbus introduced the sugarcane plant to the Caribbean islands. The story of chocolate and its rise to world fame has been one of Earth's best-kept secrets, but perhaps this was mainly due to the fact that the cocoa plant stayed isolated for so long. Once cocoa beans started finally traveling across the globe, new doors opened up for further development and creativity for use of this amazing energy bean. Today, we live in a world in which we cannot imagine that there was ever a time when chocolate was unheard of. Chocolate is now very easy for most anyone to obtain, but there was a time when only a wealthy few were allowed to have it, or could even afford it. Chocolate has become a vital part of everyday American life. It's an important element of nearly every holiday, and many people seem to require it as a part of their daily agenda. This powerful bean, that for most of the past had to be brewed just like coffee, became so important that mankind found a way to turn it into edible food. Since the science and development of cocoa is still only a couple of hundred years old, perhaps future generations have much more to look forward to than we have already imagined into existence in the wonderful world of chocolate.